on today. Today is our day before Thanksgiving prep video. So prepping for the big day, for the big meal. Let me try to turn this down. I'm just gonna zest an orange. What I'm gonna do here is make, I do not have one of those cute little handheld zesters. I have to use my old-fashioned grater that has a little bit of every kind of potential grating device on it. So I just need to get about a tablespoon of orange zest. I'm going to make my mom's cranberry, it's orange cranberry sauce, and it is so good. So the only thing is my mother's recipe, we're going to improvise a little bit here. My mother's recipe calls for orange liqueur, which I do not have any of that. So I'm going to add the juice of the orange, and I researched online. At first I wasn't sure. My mom thought maybe the pectin wouldn't set up properly with the orange juice, but it will. I googled it. I've read on several sites. We should be just fine. So that's what we're gonna do. Instead of orange liqueur, we're gonna use the juice from one orange. We're gonna see how this goes. Let's see how much I have here. I seriously need some new measuring spoons. I've had these plastic things for like 10 years. Okay, I need a tablespoon. And I don't quite have a tablespoon yet. All right, we keep going. We have our orange zest. We have the juice from the orange. We have sugar. 1/4 cup of pecans chopped, and now we've got our water. And what we do is, it's 3/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of the orange juice from the orange, 3/4 cup of sugar, and yes, I'm using real sugar. Chris and I have decided that 2 days during the year we're not going to worry about our sugar-free, and that is on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. The rest of the year we're going to enjoy. Okay, and then you go ahead and you put your orange zest in, and you're going to let this come to a boil. And then we'll add the cranberries and the pecans. Just whisk it around. Okay, we'll be back when it's boiling. Okay, we've got a slight boil going. And this is where we're gonna add our cranberries. I've already washed these and sorted them and picked out any questionable looking berries. And there were some, not a lot though. And I'm just gonna use this and stir. Now what you do is you let it cook and boil until you start hearing the little pops. When I hear them, I'll lower you down and we'll see if you can hear it too. I don't know if you can hear it, it's so slight, but there's like a little popping sound. And that popping sound is when the berries are kind of getting hot enough to that point where you can kind of see. Let me get one and show you here. See, the skin kind of pops a little. Do you see that? Right there. All right, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. I'm going to stir it around and let it come to a really fast boil. And then we will transfer it to a container. Now, something you will probably, if you watch my channel and subscribe, which I really wish you would, that would be awesome. I do not have like a lot of really fancy, pretty matching serving dishes, so you'll see a variety of containers with lids so that things can be covered as they put away. I downsized to a smaller container. We're not going to need a big one for this. And what you do is after it after it boils, which I'll show you, you just put it in a container, you cover it, and you refrigerate it overnight, and it sets up. And you know, instead of eating the jelly from the can, which is awesome and great because that's a tradition for like the majority of the United States, this just tastes so much better. So that's an option for you. Here's what we've got in our pan, and I'm going to transfer it to the bowl. I need to get all of this. Okay, and this is what it's gonna look like. Oh, I can't know it, in the bowl. And I'm gonna let it cool for just about 10 minutes at room temperature before I cover it. And then I will put that in the fridge. And that's literally all there is to it. It's very simple. Next on my list is to chop up 2 onions. I use this for several of the things I'm going to be cooking. I will cook the onions with some celery and butter, and just sort of saute it and get it nice and not, you know, kind of soft, kind of not. And that goes in my dressing, and it also will go into the broccoli rice casserole that I'm going to make. And I just cook it all at once together and take what I need as I go, because it's easier than doing this multiple times. So that's one of the first things I do when I get started. I get my cranberry sauce out of the way first, because that just pops into the refrigerator for the rest, you know, until we serve it tomorrow. And then I start with my onions and my celery. And I know I don't chop like a proper chef. I'm not a proper chef. So things are not always perfectly sized and matched up, but it works. It tastes the same. This looks like a lot of onions, but it does cook down. And like I said, I use this for multiple recipes that will get taken care of today and put in the refrigerator for tomorrow. And I know I'm doing a lot of cooking for just 2 people, but it is a holiday and extenuating circumstances thanks to COVID, and you know, we miss our families. We want to be with our loved ones, and circumstances being what they are, we can't. So we're going to try to recreate the foods that my mom makes and his mom makes, and things that we've contributed over the years and figured out that we like, and do our best to create our own little Thanksgiving. And we're going to have way too much food. But that's great. That's one of the wonderful things about Thanksgiving dinner is the leftovers and the stuff you get to put in your freezer for easy stuff later. Sadie's on the couch. She's on the very corner of the couch right there watching my every move. She's not interested in onions, thank goodness, because onions would make her very sick. But if I pull out something cheesy or meaty, she is going to be right at my feet. That's her favorite thing to like try to sneak a bite of, is cheese or meat. Okay, there is my 2 onions. Looks like a lot. It is a lot, but I'm going to use a lot. We've moved back over to the stove top, where I am going to add 1.5 sticks of butter, which would basically be 3/4 of a cup. And let that start to melt. See, I've already got my celery. You guys watched me chop it. I've got it all ready to go. I'm going to add some onions to this. I know this looks like a lot, and like I said, it is a lot, but we use a lot, so like it's that I'm doing homemade dressing and casseroles, and it just takes quite a bit. All right, there we go. I have some on the floor I need to pick up because Sadie doesn't need to eat onions. Hey, look, I'm not wearing Crocs today. I've got Skechers on. Okay, now my hands are washed, and I'm just going to pour the celery in. And you'll notice there's like some of the leafy part. My mom has always said the leafy part has the most flavor, so I always make sure to keep a little bit of that in there. I have a smaller one that is my favorite to use, but it's probably in my sink full of dirty dishes, which is next on my list. Once I get this finished, then the dishes get done, then I come back and I show you guys the next step. I really hope everybody's doing okay, and if you are staying home alone this year for Thanksgiving, I hope you treat yourself to something yummy. You know, you need to eat some turkey. Even if you go buy yourself a frozen turkey dinner, at least it's turkey, and you can say, I did Turkey Day 2020. Just make the best of it, because I believe next year is going to be so much better, and we're going to get to be with our loved ones and hug them and enjoy, and it's going to be so much more special, you know? It's one of those things people over time sort of take for granted, I think, is just going to grandma's house, and, you know, but this is teaching us just how important those moments actually are. So I hope everybody is hanging in there and doing okay, and realizing you're not the only one that's doing your own thing this year. But thank goodness for technology, because we can call, we can FaceTime. I've never done a Zoom meeting, but I hear you can do you could probably talk to all your family members scattered across the country all at once if you wanted to with that. This is starting to cook down a little bit. I got my dishes done and my sink's cleaned out. As you can tell, I have some water splatters. I mean, this is how you know someone has really done dishes, is when you see it. That's what I say anyway. And this, oh my gosh, this smells so wonderful. Since I was a child, like a little kid, this is the smell that represents holiday cooking to me. Onions and celery and butter cooking. And whether it was in my mother's kitchen, in my grandma's kitchen, in my sister's kitchen, the time or two that we've been there, this is the base of holiday cooking with my family. So I love the smell. See, I've cooked it just until my onions are starting to look translucent. And that way they're not like gonna get pulverized when I bake them into my casseroles and my dressing. They'll still be, you know, but this is where I turn the heat off and I just let it stand and cool, come to room temperature. And in the meantime, I'm toasting bread, very, very lightly toasting it. And then I will cut it up and start assembling my dressing. And I will show you that. I will be back in just a few minutes. I've got my bread lightly toasted. Like I said, you can't even tell that it's been through the toaster, but it has. You just want to dry it out a little bit. That way it holds up a little bit better when you start adding broth and things like that. My bread bag is empty. And if I were my mother-in-law, I would save this bag and I would find a matching one. And I would put them over my shoes when I go to the mailbox. Just to add to that story, she does that in the winter time so her shoes and boots don't get wet in the snow. I'm back. I've got my bowl, a big bowl. And what you do is you just I just break off pieces of it like this. Like pieces about like that size. We've got all of our toast broken into pieces like this, like I showed you before. The next step would be to brown the sausage, because I add sausage to mine. I just use Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage. So I'm going to go get that started, and then we'll be back to assemble our stuffing. Dressing. I don't know why I always call it stuffing. This goes nowhere near the cavity of my bird. I do not stuff with this. I think I have all of my makings for my dressing here. I start with this is 1 loaf of white bread, like I said earlier, that I've just broken into small pieces. I have 2/3 of a cup of sausage. This is just Jimmy Dean premium regular breakfast sausage. I cooked the entire pound. I'm only using 2/3 of a cup though. The rest of that will be used for breakfast in the morning. I'm gonna do like a sausage egg scramble for breakfast. Then I have 1.5 cups of the butter and onion and celery mixture that I'm gonna add to this. There's 1 cup. Okay, and here's the 1/2 cup. Okay, and then I have 1.5 teaspoons of sage, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper that I'm just going to put in here. At this point, I'm going to give it a stir before I add the broth or anything. And then I will add the broth, the egg. I have 1 egg right here that I've kind of beaten up with the egg a little bit. I will add that last because I kind of have to taste this to make sure I've got the spices, you know, decently adjusted. And I will not taste it after, you know, put the egg in it before it cooks. I'm not that adventurous of a cook. And you know me with my whole germophobic stuff, it also carries over into my food. I have big food worries about, you know, expiration dates, which I know some things they say are perfectly fine to use after the expiration date, and you know, I'm just very careful and cautious. Get it stirred around. Now I've got 3 cups of chicken broth that I'm just going to pour in. And this is why I like to toast the bread a little bit before, because it kind of keeps it from just turning into one massive block of mushy bread at this point. Typically we would add raisins. I forgot to buy raisins. Alright, I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the celery and onion mixture to this. I probably scooped another, maybe 1/4 of a cup into here. Yeah, I can already tell this looks, a piece just hit the floor. I'm glad Sadie's napping, so I don't have to worry about it right away. Yeah, this looks much more like what it should look like. Okay, I'm gonna give it another taste. Just pick a piece. Yeah, that is just the way I want it. Okay, then I'm just going to dump my egg in here and stir it up. The egg just helps bind it while it's baking. And I just use one. I don't want it to be super eggy. I'm not a big egg fan. They serve their purpose. I use them, but just that eggy taste is not my favorite. All right, that is set. And what I've got is, I have a casserole dish that I have smeared with butter. I will transfer this into here, and then it will bake for, I'll bake it at 350 for probably about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. I'll check it with my thermometer, make sure that it's at a safe temperature. And I will bake this today and put this in the oven. And then tomorrow, and then put it in the refrigerator for tomorrow. I have one oven and a lot of baking to do. And this is really good reheated. So that, sorry about all the clanging, is the plan. And now I'm going to hand this over to Chris so he can do some editing. I look horrible, so please just, I'm sorry about that, but it's my food Thanksgiving preparation day, so no makeup was required. And I kind of had a lot of trouble sleeping last night too. I think because I knew I had so much to do today that I was, my brain was busy. So anyway, I will see you guys later. The rest of the evening is gonna be, I'm gonna fry bacon and keep the bacon grease for a recipe, and I'll be showing you that stuff either later this evening or tomorrow. Bye for now.
Hi friends, I'm Sadie, and I think you should like this video. Click subscribe and the little bell too. That way you know every time my mommy and daddy upload a new video. Thanks!